All right. So here we are with Pplpleasr, the artist of the moment in DeFi. I'm so excited to have you on my podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so a bit of background. Pplpleasr is a graphic artist influenced by anime, video games, underground music, and traditional Asian art. She has worked with different projects in DeFi, from Harvest Finance to Pickle and Yearn, describing herself as high quality meme generator. Recently, it was her work with Uniswap, which attracted tons of headlines because it sold as an NFT for about $500,000, which she donated all to charity. So I think this was kind of the most important part of the headline. So I'm really eager to talk about all of this. But first, I want to get to know you a bit better. Tell me more about your background, how you got into making these beautiful creations that you do in the first place, and why crypto.
Sure. So I've been basically working as a 3D artist for about like 6 years now, and I used to work in visual effects for a bunch of movies, and was also working at Blizzard on their cinematics team, and then basically how I got into crypto working in there. Well, I have been holding sort of, like 2017 ICO coins from like
Oh,
2017. But back then, I was sort of just sitting on the sidelines of crypto and never thought of myself as actually, that there would be a possibility to even be working or contributing in the space. I was sort of just speculating. Um, but it wasn't until last summer, DeFi summer, that I kind of really started to pay attention because of the crazy yields that DeFi is seemingly able to generate. Definitely caught my eye. And then I also had accepted a job at Apple last March, but then due to the pandemic, they couldn't get my visa application through because the USCIS basically just shut down when the pandemic started.
oh my God.
So while I was waiting for my visa, it was the first time since working that I actually had some time off to sort of create my own artwork, actually. So I created my art Instagram account, and then I just started having fun with it and basically using the skill set that I had learned all these years from working to manifest my own visions and creative expression. So that's kind of how it started. And then towards the end of DeFi summer, I got in contact with Yeran Finance, essentially. And then there was a Twitter influencer, Blue Kirby, who had seen my work and then thought that, and he was the marketer for Yeran Finance at the time. So we sort of got in touch, and then I made a little short video for Yeran Finance. So that was actually the first video that I ever made for DeFi. A lot of people think it's the Pickle one because that's the first one that graced Twitter, and the Yearn one never got posted because the product at the time got delayed for many reasons, like the video that it was intended for. But I'd love to share that one on Twitter sometime, just because I think it's fun, and it's because nobody's ever seen it, and it's my first one, and I had a fun time working on it. So, but yeah, anyway, so that's basically kind of how I got into DeFi, and because I also saw it as a way, to also just sort of make a little bit of money while I was either like waiting for my job. I didn't intend for this DeFi stuff to become my actual job, but it actually was just ended up being really fun, and I think I really resonate with the culture of the DeFi crowd as well, because we all share this love for memes, and there's a very specific like niche subculture that goes on here where we all have a similar sense of humor, and I don't know, I just like love the community. And so I think that made it really easy for me to create content that was easy for everybody to sort of like enjoy and relate to as well. And yeah, so that basically was what drew me to DeFi. And I love that everybody was so willing to or trusting of my creative abilities. It was like everybody would just give me a blank canvas and just say, just run with it and do what you feel like doing. And so it was kind of still the same as, and I was learning on working on these as well. It really helped me understand DeFi a lot better because there's a lot of really complicated concepts in DeFi that need to be understood. And so to sort of convey these in an entertaining way through my videos, I need to sort of understand and learn them first. And so all in all, it was kind of a win-win. It helped me understand these, and then it helped me become a better investor. And then also I'm able to have a creative outlet and get paid for it as well. So yeah.
I love it. I love how it was kind of the crazy DeFi yields what got you into the space, and how that led you to actually having a job in this space. That's so interesting. And definitely you should post your first DeFi video, the Yeran Finance one. Like, I'm sure everyone would love to see that.
Yeah, I probably will.
So right now, like I think kind of you've become like, like a kind of DeFi celebrity because of your Uniswap video. So I'd love to hear more about how that came about. Like, did Uniswap approach you to make this video, and what was the creative process like?
Yeah, so Uniswap approached me through, I think they reached out to Tarun Chitra, who then texted me, and then this was in January, and then he was like, hey, somebody from the Uniswap team contacted me asking if you'd be up to work with them. And, when I got the message, I was pretty excited, and I was like, yeah, of course. And, I obviously the V3 announcement was such an anticipated event, and I didn't even think that it would be for V3. Like, I just thought that, because in my Harvest Finance video, so the video that I made for Harvest Finance was back in October of last year. And because Harvest strategy at the time was using the Uniswap liquidity pool, so I had sort of like this Chad dancing next to a small unicorn. And when I was doing that, I had a lot of fun. And then I thought that, a unicorn is actually a fun subject to make in a video. And it was just a thought last October that, I'd love to collaborate with Uniswap one day. And then, so then in January, when they reached out to me, I was pretty excited. And then, but lo and behold, it was actually for the V3 announcement, which obviously made me a little even more excited, but also a little bit nervous because I knew that it was a very highly anticipated event. So I really wanted to I knew that there were going to be a lot of eyes on this animation. So I really wanted to make it stand out really in a way. And so, yeah, and then we kind of kicked off concept towards the beginning of February. So then we would start going back and forth and talking about just, several potential ideas that could be good for the video. And then kicked off production. And so, yeah, I've been working on it pretty much since mid-February. And then recently, in the last week of March, we delivered the video. And yeah.
So was it a lot of like collaboration between you and the Uniswap team then, like coming up with the idea, like, I don't know, the color scheme, how did you decide on the whole concept? And I guess like maybe we should describe the video for people who haven't seen it and are listening. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should go check it out. It's just like a beautiful like little piece of animation like this. It's like a unicorn like floating through like a blooming garden, right? Or
so the shot sort of takes place in, I don't know, it's supposed to be otherworldly, so you don't have to take it too literally, but it's kind of like a desert / forest / oasis kind of land, mystical land. And we start by seeing the unicorn come into the frame, and then the unicorn sort of introduces life and growth into the land. And then we see the bonding curves, which a lot of people are calling noodles or pasta because I guess they kind of look like that in the video.
Those were bonding curves, okay.
Yeah. And then so those bonding curves sort of unite with the unicorn, and then they travel together to the Ethereum sort of haven or promised land, I guess you could say. And yeah, that's pretty much the video. In terms of the color palette, obviously knowing that Uniswap's main color is sort of pink, so that definitely, you see it in the beginning with the unicorn, and it's a main theme throughout the video. But then towards the end, it sort of blends in with a little bit of like blue and purple, because that's the color of Ethereum, and also the saturation. So in the beginning of the video, it's a little bit less saturated, because the real sort of deeper meaning behind this was, this is going to sound a little bit exaggerated, but it's just that, sort of like the land of crypto, or like even DeFi, was kind of like obsolete before Uniswap came in and sort of changed the game for everybody, right? So that was kind of the concept behind it, is just, so then, when the unicorn is introduced, then this sort of dry and desaturated land becomes more and more colorful, and then towards the end, it's in a harmonious environment with Ethereum, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then
there was like so much meaning throughout the whole video, like even like the saturation, the colors. I love how much thought went into all this. And then as soon as this came out, everyone was kind of dissecting all of the symbolism, and there were like tiny like shapes floating about, like people, I don't know, were looking at this like what looked like the MetaMask like fox, I think. And yeah, what else were like some of those symbols that you included?
So in the second shot, you first see an Aave ghost. It's pretty subtle, but you see it flies up first, and then there's a unipig for optimism, and then the MetaMask fox, and then there's a Sybil logo as well, which is the purple one with the white swirl around it, as well as a rainbow for the rainbow app. And then that's just in the second shot. And the fourth shot, there's uni socks actually that sort of like float by as well. And this is kind of all we discussed about, potential sort of Easter eggs to put in there. Obviously, there's a lot of DeFi elements that live on the Uniswap ecosystem, and it's not like everything I can put in the video, because it's just too many things, but it's more of just a representation about sort of all of these elements of DeFi coming together, and how their relationship is with the Uniswap app. And a lot of the colors in the noodles are sampled from all of the different token colors as well. And then I also explained in my behind the scenes video that because one of the main features of Uniswap v3 is that you can now choose your own portion of the liquidity pool, or on the price curve, to provide liquidity. And then so that's why you see that, like sections of the noodles in the video are like, there's like a color, and then it sometimes like slides around. And
that's why. Okay, I love like finally getting like all the meaning inside the video. There was just like so much to it. And then obviously like the stars kind of form like V3. For a split second at the end.
Yeah, that's the cliffhanger ending, which is sort of like the climax of the video, is that and the constellation itself has a symbolism as well, which is that it I don't know if you've seen it, it was made by 0x DeFi. So this sort of universe like do your own research like website that maps out all the different like liquidity pool formations on on Uniswap, and then how they're connected with each other. So when you go to the website, it looks like, actually I think I might be able to just share my screen. You know what? It's all in the behind the scenes video. So if anybody's interested, they can just go watch it. But yeah, it's sort of like a complicated web of relationships between the different liquidity pools. And then so which looks kind of like a constellation, which is why that's in the end of the video as well, where you see the stars. So that's what that represents. And then, and then I also made separately the constellation that is spelling out V3, and then it's meant to be not immediately obvious. So it was really fun reading through the comments and seeing people sort of spot that out. Yeah.
So I'd love to hear more of your reaction to people's reactions to the video. Like it was just like it came out and like it went instantly viral. Like what were you thinking?
I mean, I was a little bit nervous on that day. I wasn't sure what people's reactions would be. I was nervous that people were going to be upset because it doesn't tell you much about V3, but it is meant to be a teaser, sort of the final hype, leading up to the actual like blog post, right? That which was announced the next day. But I mean, I was glad to see that pretty much most, or not, 99% of the reactions were all positive, and then that everybody was just excited to see the video. And it was fun seeing people trying to identify the different Easter eggs. That's actually a sort of a recurring theme in a lot of my videos, actually, is that I put in a lot of sort of like subtle details or elements that either are a reference to the protocol itself or, other elements of DeFi. And then I think people just enjoy sort of like it's kind of like, when you watch a movie and you're trying to spot the symbolisms or something. It's just like a fun activity for people to watch something and then try to decipher what is going on in the video. So yeah, it's like a little Easter egg hunt.
And then the decision to sell it as an NFT, like how did that happen?
This was actually an idea that I had come up with sort of halfway through production of the video. I think it is obviously also motivated by the recent sort of wave of NFT craze. And I'd been dabbling in the NFT world a little bit last year, but then, as sort of my schedule with doing videos for DeFi protocols was getting a lot busier, especially from the start of this year, that I didn't have time to insert myself in the NFT space. And I was feeling a little bit of FOMO there because obviously, I would love to be a part of the community as well. And so I just thought that, why not hit like two birds with one stone by also releasing this as sort of like an NFT. And I just brought it up as an idea to the Uniswap team. And I am super grateful that they were so supportive of the decision. And they thought, yeah, that's a great idea. We should do that. And then really it was since last year, I had always sort of wanted to kind of imagine myself doing an NFT drop and then donating the proceeds to charity, because I'm not rich enough myself to be able to impact. I thought that, well, I have this skill set where I can potentially generate something of value that can sort of give back. And then it was always like a thought in the back of my head. So then I thought, oh, well, this is sort of like a perfect opportunity to do that. And so I also brought that up initially as well. And they obviously were supportive of that decision. And then so that's kind of how it came about. And yeah, I'm just glad that they were, so helpful about it.
So, okay, so this is something that you had been wanting to do for a while, like do an NFT job and be that kind of use that as a way to like have an impact, like give back, because, like it's not like every day that you come about like hundreds of thousands of dollars to give away. So
exactly. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely, there's sort of a lot of capital floating around in the NFT space right now. And yeah, it would be awesome to sort of redistribute that to other parts of society that maybe don't have access to that same capital.
I mean, I think this is amazing. Like, I really kind of commend you for that. And I think you're so right. There's just like so much hype and like just like money sloshing around the space, and that's great. Like it's amazing to see, just especially artists being able to monetize their work, and it's not just like speculators like aping in the next yield farm, but with NFTs, it's great to see that creators can benefit from like all this hype too, but also like giving it away to people who are 100% outside of the space, and having like all the like NFT craze go towards something else. I think it's awesome. Can you talk about the charity that you chose?
Yeah, so it's actually an ongoing process because we went with the decision to not immediately decide on a specific charity, being that it was going to be an auction, and then we didn't actually know how much it was going to sell for. And so, just in case I chose like 5 different charities and I only raised like $100, then that's not very, impactful to distribute, right? So it was always sort of part of the plan that depending on how much the amount was raised, then we can decide on multiple charities. And then but I did already prior to the drop get in contact with the representatives of the Stand with Asians movement. And so obviously, I'm sure you've heard as well recently in the United States, frequently in New York as well, there's been a lot of sort of unfortunate and racist attacks on the Asian American community and just discrimination. And, there was the shooting in Atlanta, just a lot of really tragic events that were sort of catalyzed by the whole pandemic situation and causing tensions between different, ethnic groups as well. And so it was, and I read a story, not a story, but an Instagram post, not too long ago from one of the sons of one of the shooting victims of the Atlanta shooting. And it just really broke my heart and makes me sad that this is happening to, I guess you could say, my people. And, sort of Asian Americans are always meant to feel like second or just not welcome in this country. Even it still happens this day, from minor things like microaggression up to extreme things like being literally assaulted or attacked on the street. And so this sort of Stand with Asians movement is just bringing awareness to that. And then they also, are working with nonprofit organizations as well. But so the goal is that we're going to, and all of the funds after the 15% that foundation had taken is still sitting in my public wallet. So, it's and it's still there. And so we're just going to sort of really properly do research and hopefully, give back to either helping small businesses that are owned by Asian Americans or, but this is, and because the auction had just happened. And then, so we're going to have a proper discussion about that this week and then hopefully finalize how we're going to properly distribute the funds and then follow up on Twitter with a post and sort of detail out how we're going to be donating these. And then also obviously provide proof or, the Etherscan TXs. So.
Nice. Okay, so the idea is to give most or all of it to organizations helping combat this situation where Asian Americans are being targeted or discriminated against.
Yeah, and also this maybe not a lot of people know this, but the wealth disparity between the Asian American ethnic group is also one of the largest of all ethnic groups in the U.S. Even in New York, like where you are, 1 in 4 Asians are living below the poverty line. So it's kind of it's kind of
no idea.
Yeah, so it's kind of actually an ongoing issue, and there's no and. We're definitely going to look into sort of distributing to other minority groups as well, because I guess when you lack resources or access to the same things, of course there's going to be tension between different minority groups, right? And I think that's sort of an ongoing situation that's happening in New York as well. So yeah, that's something that I would love to sort of address or at least help make an impact towards.
Yeah. No, that's great. And maybe just to add to kind of your own background, we were chatting before. You actually lived in New York for a couple of years before going to Taiwan, where your family is. So I guess like you saw that that I guess disparity firsthand, right? I mean, is that kind of like why you're like really passionate about this issue?
Yeah, and I was also in New York when the pandemic hit the hardest. And obviously, you know, there were a lot of sort of like small businesses that were either being vandalized in Chinatown and just general racism. It even happened to one of my friends, actually, where she was just walking on the street and then somebody spat on her and then told her to go back to China. And she's not even Chinese. Anyway. Yeah, it's just, you know, there's a lot of really terrible things going on. And so I definitely sort of saw that firsthand in New York. And yeah, a lot of obviously like businesses in Chinatown had suffered throughout the pandemic as well.
Yeah, no, that's obviously unacceptable. So I think it's great that you have like the ability now to contribute to that cause and kind of raise awareness as well. Like I knew about this discrimination and like how Asian Americans are being targeted, but I for example, I didn't know about the like wealth disparity in New York. So it's great that you can raise awareness to all this. And then on kind of the NFT sale itself, would love to hear about kind of your decision to go with foundation and because I mean there's like so many like different NFT marketplaces. So yeah, would love like to hear from an artist perspective, like what that decision process is like.
Yeah, to be quite honest, well, it was because I think foundation is I had thought at the time maybe more on brand with DeFi, and because yeah, there's like several other platforms that could be like more centralized, and the whole sort of, you know, like community that I surround myself with is a more decentralized one. And also because, you know, I had reached out to some other platforms, but they didn't sort of, some of them didn't get back to me in time or something, but either way. So yeah, there wasn't really any particular reason why I went with foundation. It just happened to be that way.
Okay. That's fair enough. I mean, like sometimes it just happens, like things like just work out easier, and yeah. And then I think I read but didn't look very closely into this, but there was like you talk about Easter eggs in the video. There was an Easter egg in the NFT as well, right?
What do you mean?
Wasn't there like a unisock or something in the NFT?
So I mean, I put there's the socks that are floating sort of towards the end of the video.
Oh, okay. So I thought maybe there was like also kind of like maybe a like sock somewhere. I don't know.
If it came with actual Uniswap, so we're gonna have to talk to the Uniswap team about this.
Okay, like maybe like I misunderstood when I read it. But
who knows? No. Maybe it might be a surprise later.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's full of surprises. Your video. So right now, like this huge sale of your NFT comes like right after a bit of a controversy also in the NFT land last week with Beeple, you know, the artist who sold the first NFT on Christie's, and people were a little bit upset because he cashed out the like over $60 million he made with the NFT, and just cashed out his ETH and went 100% to fiat, like like some people in the community were saying he made all this money from ETH, but he hasn't really given anything back, which is totally the opposite from what you're doing. So I think kind of the contrast there is pretty clear. So just wanted to hear your thoughts on not like necessarily people specifically, but whether there's this maybe expectation of artists to give back to the Ethereum community after kind of monetizing their work through NFTs, or you think that's not really due? Like people are able to monetize their work however they want and like do whatever they want with their money, or do you think there's kind of like a moral obligation to give back? I mean, what are your thoughts here?
Definitely, I don't think there's any moral obligation to give back. But I do think that I think it's because there either is a sort of a lack of knowledge around the sort of central crypto ideologies right now in terms of, what the crypto community calls normies, aka just regular people who don't generally either work in the crypto ecosystem or, dabble in like cryptocurrencies. And it's interesting because I actually, having been in sort of crypto way before, this NFT craze and stuff, I had always thought that Bitcoin would be the factor that would cause in a rush of sort of normies to, pay attention to cryptocurrency. But who would have thought that it's actually NFTs being the one that blew up and sort of is, I'm having literally people that I used to work with or know, or, friends just texting me and going, hey, what's an NFT? How do I buy some Ethereum so that I can get involved with NFTs? So anything that sort of on-ramps people into crypto, I'm always happy and supportive of, and in which case would be NFTs. And I think it's just, and I pointed out this before as well, where I noticed there's actually a large gap between the NFT art community and then the crypto DeFi community. And so the whole way that this auction kind of came together was also a very happy accident, because it brought to light the sort of like the power of DeFi, or this whole idea of a community, right? And then that a lot of people didn't know in the NFT space, didn't know really anything about DeFi before. And then so this is also a good way to raise awareness for DeFi just to regular people as well. And I think that so it's sort of sometimes lurking in discourse and stuff. I definitely noticed that a lot of the artists come into the NFT space because they're still thinking about everything in terms of like US dollar value and stuff, because this is at the end of the day, sorry, I mean, it could be also not just US dollar, but yeah, any currency that you use. But yeah, let's just use US dollars as an example, because this is the currency that you're using every day to go outside and buy coffee or something. So this is the most tangible one. And so it's normal that they're sort of using that to evaluate this sort of NFT space, even if the main currency is Ethereum. But I think they're still thinking of it in terms of, oh, well, this much Ethereum equals this much US dollar. And then, so naturally they would think that, when I get this much US dollar, I want to sort of like spend that US dollar, or, and the only way to do that for them is to sort of off-ramp that cryptocurrency, and so sell that Ethereum back into US dollars. So I think this sentiment is obviously understandable, and but I just, and it's not sort of a moral obligation, but I just think that it's kind of a shame that there's sort of like this gap, because if these artists have a better understanding of like cryptocurrencies or DeFi in general, they can actually grow their wealth, right, with DeFi products, or even just holding Ethereum. I see so many artists on the Discord, even when Ethereum was like $1,000, and then they're like, okay, well, I'm selling. And I'm like, wait, it's going to go up. Like it's not to their benefit to, not hold the cryptocurrency, right? Obviously it is a volatile market. So, you never know if it's going to go down or anything, but, if you believe in it enough, and which I do, and it's actually great that recently Visa has announced that they're going to be, using USDC and Ethereum, which is huge news and good news for crypto and stuff. So I feel like hopefully as these types of announcements and events happen more frequently, it'll help artists who are coming in from the regular like non-crypto world understand that, oh, this is a real currency that has value and that you can use, and you're not just only dependent on fiat as a currency. And then it'll sort of like help the whole cryptocurrency ecosystem grow even larger.
I mean, those are really great points that you made. I mean, on the one hand, I also agree there's not really kind of a moral obligation to do whatever you want with like the money you raised. But I mean, on the other hand, it is a shame. Like it's a shame that they are not taking advantage of DeFi as a means to grow wealth and just put their money to work. Even if you don't want to hold like a volatile asset like ETH, maybe you can put stable coins in a lending pool and earn interest rather than just like exchanging it to US dollars where you can't really make much with that. So it's interesting what you're seeing as well, that it's been amazing to see NFTs be kind of the thing that's attracting this wave of new users. And I think like it kind of makes sense. Like before, everything in crypto was about speculating and making money and just like 100% kind of finance and like money oriented. But now for the first time, there's this other kind of use that's not not finance oriented. So you have like a different audience that this technology is speaking to. And so it's amazing to see this new wave of users and so cool that you're seeing it in kind of your own group of like artists and like friends, that people are getting interested. So I guess like for now it's people are coming into crypto, selling their NFTs, but then cashing out. So I guess like the next step would be for them to come, make NFTs, monetize them, but then like stick around and like not immediately leave the space. I guess like is the next step.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what I really loved about the outcome of this specific auction is that, the sort of like the formation of the DAO and the whole spirit of DeFi and stuff. I think it also sort of brought to light to people kind of the power of DeFi, and that there's actually, and because of DeFi's ability to sort of generate yields and more wealth for people, that there's a lot of heavy hitters and bidders out there as well who like are living in the DeFi space that people probably, as in the NFT art circle, didn't previously know about. And I think it's sort of, they're now starting to pay attention, like, whoa, okay, there's people who are, willing to drop some heavy ETH on art in the DeFi space as well, so.
Would love to talk more about this DAO that formed specifically for purchasing your NFT, Pplpleasr DAO. Do you know kind of a little bit of the backstory of how this came about and the people involved?
Yeah, so I think I know it's maybe growing, so I'm not actually sure about exactly how many members. I just remembered that after I had, because I didn't even really previously tell anybody that this drop was going to happen. It was always, for my people who have been following me before, not always, sorry, just like sometimes when I make an animation, I will also make a later rollout of behind the scenes video where I talk about how I made that animation. So usually a lot of people always like tune into watching that because they find it interesting. And then so my thought for this one was, this time when I put out that behind the scenes video, I'll also announce that it's going to be an NFT. And so sort of the behind the scenes video itself is acting as a sort of promoter for the NFT drop. And then so when that happened, which is, like less than 24 hours before I was going to do the actual drop, I guess, a bunch of people in the DeFi community had seen it. And then, obviously everybody had seen the Uniswap V3 video. And then even when the video was dropped and there was no NFT announcement, a bunch of people were commenting saying, oh, is this going to be an NFT? How do I buy this NFT? So I guess there was already interest, around this. And then, so the co-founder of Pplpleasr, Leighton Cusack, I guess he just assumed that it was going to be too expensive for him to afford, but he really wanted the NFT. So he tweeted out, hey, does anybody want to put together a quick DAO to purchase this? And then from there, he generated interest. And I'm sort of learning a lot of this after the fact too. I remember that day, somebody had told me that, hey, did you know that there's actually going to be this like DAO that's forming right now, or they're like recruiting members right now to sort of buy your NFT. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then it wasn't even something that I had ever considered. And I don't think anybody ever considered. And it is after, this auction, it is the first of its kind, which is where people have come together to join forces to make a DAO that's like for purchasing NFTs, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because there's a massive potential and power there, purchasing power, and so it's just started a whole new movement essentially. But I think that's basically kind of how it started, and it was just through word of mouth. Like people would rope other people into the Telegram channel and all this stuff. And then so I didn't actually know that they were gonna. I knew that this happened, and when it happened, I was pretty excited about the concept of the NFT being owned by sort of a community as opposed to one person, because again, that's also sort of in the spirit of it being like decentralized, where like, where it's like by the people, like for the people, and not just one person who owns this. Obviously, nothing against individual bidders. I think, as long as it's going to a good cause, everyone wins. But it was just a new concept that was interesting to me. And I wasn't expecting them to actually win, but it was a crazy sort of last few minutes of the auction that I'll probably remember for my whole life.
Okay, can you kind of dive into that? Like just like the bidding war that happened in the last minute, like how were you experiencing that?
So it was in the morning of my time. So I woke up and then the bid was with less than an hour left on the auction, the bid was still sitting at 100, which was already seriously crazy. Like 100 is way exceeded my expectations for how much the NFT would go for. And then this was when the DAO made their first bid at 110. And then I thought, oh, wow, the DAO is actually making a bid. And then, so at 110, I thought, wow, okay, well, they're going to win. And then after the DAO made that bid, and then the real sort of war started within the last 10 minutes of the auction, which is really crazy, because at that point I thought, okay, it's definitely over. And then within the last 10 minutes, this one other mysterious wallet showed up and then, like bid 120. So then the DAO came back with like 130 or something. And then the other wallet came back again with like 140 something. And then I think the DAO came in with like 165. So then that wallet was outbid at that point. But then a new wallet, which I think he goes by the name Boss Belpour. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Anyway, very mysterious bidder who had a lot of ETH. And somebody was texting me about this in real time too, because they were tracking the wallets on Etherscan. And then they were like, oh, this mysterious bidder just added another 100 ETH to their wallet and then another 100 ETH. So they were literally adding 100 ETH at a time to sort of load up ammo. And I was just thinking, this is just crazy. Like I never even expected something like this to happen. And then, so I guess, then there was the final bidding war between that wallet and the DAO. And then eventually it went up to the wallet bidding up to 275 and the DAO hit back with 310. And then they won the auction. And then what's even more interesting is after the auction ended, the mysterious bidder on his Twitter made a tweet saying, okay, well, since I lost, is the DAO actually taking members? So then he or she asked to join the DAO.
That's amazing. So like they ended up like also, I guess, it partly owning the piece.
I mean, I don't know if they did end up joining the DAO. I mean, I hope they did,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, if they did, yeah, because
They
then
could have.
yeah, I mean, I think they did. I don't know, just because I'm not in the DAO, so I don't know who they let in or who they don't. Because I know there are other people asking for admission to the DAO, but they did mention that they're not like taking on new members until further notice. So, but I feel like they let the mysterious bidder into the DAO, but I'm gonna have to clarify on that. I don't really know.
Okay, well, that would have been a cool ending.
Yeah.
But I mean, totally, I agree. Like the fact that it was a DAO that ended up buying your piece makes this whole story even cooler. Um, and it is the first of its kind, like a decentralized organization forming to acquire NFTs and art. Because before, like most DAOs have been to invest in different projects. So yeah, I guess like the NFT bidding wars are going to get even more intense, because so far it's been kind of like individual collectors and whales kind of outbidding each other. But now if you have like the power of a community behind the wallet, it can get even crazier.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, all I can say is it's crazy because I woke up and then now there's a DAO named after me. Like, but
Insane.
obviously it's great. I mean, this whole story just came together so in such a cool and interesting way, and I'm glad that it's a win for everybody. It's raising awareness for the charity of the cause. It's raising awareness for Uniswap. It's raising awareness for the concept of DAOs and DeFi. And what's even greater is that the DAO still has leftover Ethereum in their treasury, and then they're just going to keep it in there, and then they're going to keep sort of developing this DAO to commit themselves to further investments into NFTs and collecting art, which I think is going to inspire and encourage a lot of people as well, because I think maybe there was this sort of concept of, oh, what if the supply overcomes the demand, as in, there's not enough sort of like liquidity amongst collectors anymore, or something, where everybody's trying to sell their art. But with this new introduction of collector DAOs, I think it's going to be basically a game changer. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, it definitely adds fuel to the NFT fire, which, some people are already warning that it might be in a bubble, but maybe, it will keep inflating a bit longer. We'll see. What's next for you? Like you obviously, I mean, this is huge proof that there is a lot of interest in your work. So, I mean, do you plan to continue making art or like creations for DeFi projects? Do you now want to sell your own pieces as NFTs and maybe keep the proceeds this time? Like, what are the plans?
Well, yeah, I guess there's so many options, and this auction happened so recently. I don't think I really had proper time to sit down and think about what's next yet. But the same sort of community that supported and gave me a home for my work, I don't think I'm going to abandon. So I'd love to just continue making videos for DeFi protocols because I find it fun. But yeah, I'd also love to mint some of my own work as well. And I think there, is interest for that. And there were people also, sort of expressing that, okay, well, I couldn't afford this one, but, are you going to do any drops in the future? And so, maybe I'll do one that's either like open edition or, just like more affordable, so that not just like mega whales or a DAO can own some of Pplpleasr's work.
Nice. That's awesome. I think like a good candidate would be your first Yeran video. For sure.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Okay, and then to start wrapping up, I would just love to hear your like bigger like vision for NFTs? Like, where do you see this space going? And how I mean, how do you plan to leverage it as well in your own work in the future, kind of like in a more long term kind of vision?
I mean, I just hope that the space itself keeps expanding and growing. And I think that there's a lot of potential beyond just sort of selling either like videos or art, I mean, JPEGs or, IFPS. Sorry. Anyway, so, in that sense of like storing data, I think there's a lot more potential, for example, in gaming or metaverses as well. Like real-time assets are something that haven't even been explored yet in NFTs. There are kind of, they dabble in that and sort of like in Decentraland or like those metaverses. But I think there's just so much potential there to be had, but maybe the sort of hardware that we currently have, either hardware or software side, haven't sort of like caught up to really support, a very rich metaverse yet, for example. And then, which is why maybe in terms of NFTs, it's also lagging a bit behind there. But I would love to personally see that space grow more, and I'm excited about it, and I would totally participate in it as well.
You mean like NFTs in the metaverse?
Yeah, in the metaverse or in games, like NFTs could be even like a special ability for a character, or skin obviously is a given. And, you obviously see real life use cases of this existing in real world games already. So why not in the metaverse or just on the blockchain?
Are you like a gamer?
I mean, I don't have a lot of time to play games or watch TV these days, so I wouldn't call myself a super gamer. But I obviously, having worked at Blizzard and stuff, I'm familiar with games and I play some as well. I've played Overwatch. I'm not very good at Overwatch actually, and I have a Nintendo Switch that really kept me company throughout the whole pandemic as well. Like I love playing Super Smash Brothers. I did the whole Animal Crossing phase as well. Yeah, what about you?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, we have like a console here, but I don't. Yeah, no, not too much.
Not really.
I like outdoors games a bit more. Like just not too techy. Tennis, riding bikes.
A lot more healthy.
Yeah. So okay, but then like just NFTs as like an enabler for artists like yourselves. I mean, do you see? I mean, like a lot of the hype around NFTs is just around the potential of this technology changing the way artists monetize their work and connect with their communities. Do you see that sticking around, or maybe that's kind of, maybe it's like just a phase that crypto is going on right now and it'll kind of blow up and go away a little bit like ICOs?
I don't think it's going anywhere. The technology itself is too sort of revolutionary. And also, as I previously brought up, it already exists, this concept of, ownership and stuff outside of NFTs and crypto. So this is just sort of cementing it with like brand new technology that didn't exist before in a way more efficient way. So yeah, I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Nice. Okay. Well, hopefully you will stick around as well for a while. I'm really excited to see all your work that's coming up. So, thanks so much. This has been such an interesting conversation. Really appreciate you joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.